Faiyaz, you're an esteemed alumni of IRiQ, so it's great to have you here and obviously a friend and supporter of the firm. You're also the Director of HR at Equans, Australia and New Zealand. Tell us a bit about the remit of a role like that.
It covers everything from hire to retire, and key focus areas at the moment are diversity and inclusion, and D&I requires us to think broadly across the board, not only cultures but people with disability, mental and physical. Mentally can't see, physically can see, but also engaging people from diverse sectors. Women is one component of it. Yes, we focus on women 100%. But so it's been a big focus for us recently. The other focus has been getting the managers or the supervisors to understand their occupational health and safety responsibility.
And there's a real merging of work health and safety and employee relations and employment law, and there's more ownership at an operational leadership level, that filters down.
The sexual harassment opener for the operations team to understand what their responsibilities are and how they are to portray and what actions they're supposed to take.
Okay, and is the impending election an issue for people who might be in a role like yours?
100%, because as new governments come in, they will change their policies, and those policies have a direct impact on how we engage employees moving forward.
It must be frustrating for large businesses, and I think this is one of the common criticisms of either side. Businesses just want certainty about how they're going to run things, and the idea of a changed agenda from either side creates a lot of uncertainty.
But also the wage increase, inflation is down at the moment. It's sitting on 2.4%, and Fair Work is talking about putting it to 4.5%. That's a big jump. So.
Well, at the higher end, the union movement is asking for, I think it's 9.2%.
Right.
And it's always somewhere in between what the employer groups ask for and what the union. So.
Right. Well, that'll be one to watch really closely. Just remind us, when does the wage decision get delivered?
So traditionally, it's early June. We have had some years where it's been at the end of May.
Okay.
But because of the election, it could be delayed. The Fair Work Commission will also rely on data coming out from the last quarter. So that might take a while to come through.
And ordinarily implemented from 1 July.
Yes.
Yeah. Just in terms of the impending election, which sounds like I'm about to say impending doom, but that's just a coincidence. What have you heard around the traps, Joe, around what might be on the agenda?
Well, we're starting to hear from the coalition as to what they'll do, and some tweaks that might be made to some of the more recent closing loopholes changes. Labor has hinted that there'll be some more policy positions released closer to the election. Sounds to me that whatever happens, there'll be some movement in IR.
And do we know much about the possible change agenda from if the Liberal government was successful in forming a government?
That's where we'll see some definite tweaks. Possibly some changes with right to disconnect. There's a suggestion of change with the casual changes that came in August. I think I read today that they're not planning to change some of the reforms that came through, the secure jobs.
Yes, I did read about that.
Reforms, I think.
So that's here to stay. Look, I think a change to the casual definition would be welcome from a business point of view in terms of the certainty that the engaged and paid as casual definition provided. And I think the right to disconnect created more kind of noise than it really needed to. So whether it stays or goes is probably a moot point when you look at ultimately how it's affected business
or the impact it's had technically on any business.
Exactly.
There is a fair amount of talk on them reinstating AVCC.
Yes, I've heard that too.
Yes. It'll be interesting.
Especially in the construction, especially in Queensland with the Olympics coming and the construction starting.
Yes.
But obviously in Queensland, the current government revoking most of the BPIC.
So resetting that. Yeah, well, look, it's certainly going to be interesting for us IR lawyers and IR law nerds. So we'll try and keep our finger on the pulse.